Are you even a sports channel at this point if you have not covered the Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini saga? It's May, and the story is not dying down. Started on April 7th, 2026. It seems to even be getting bigger and being covered by more mainstream channels. So we're going to get into it here on CT Dice Sports. We're going to look at the timeline. We're going to look at the rumors, the speculations, what people are saying, what they are not actually saying, what is being insinuated, what is not being insinuated. I don't have to actually go by the journalistic standards, right? So that is what we're going to do here on CT Dice Sports. We're going to look into the story. Very, very explosive story, very curious story. What are we doing on here if when pop culture meets sports, we're not covering it? I'm going to go through the timeline here. If you don't know what this story is about, I'm going to give a little backdrop to what the story is about. It's about an NFL head coach and a reporter that covers the NFL. You already get my point. The NFL head coach is a man and the reporter is a woman. It's Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots and Dianna Russini, formerly of The Athletic, former ESPN reporter as well. So let's get into the timeline for this story. For a little backdrop on the story, Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the New England Patriots, former linebacker for the New England Patriots, coached the Tennessee Titans for several years, left that job about 2 years ago, came back to the New England Patriots last year, took them to the Super Bowl in his first year as a head coach for the New England Patriots. As an organization for the New England Patriots, he's probably the guy for them. First year, going back to the Super Bowl, I'm sure they don't want to lose him. But we're going to get into the timeline here about the big scandal, the professionalism aspects to it, the personal life aspect to it. Vrabel is the head coach of the New England Patriots. Dianna Russini is a reporter for The Athletic. They are both married. Mike Vrabel has been married since 1999 to Jen Vrabel, and Dianna Russini has been married to Kevin Goldschmidt since 2000. And both couples actually have 2 children each. So we're going to go into the breakdown here a little bit. So when did it start? April 7, 2020. Dianna Russini and Vrabel pictures get published by Page 6. Page 6 is an affiliate paper for the New York Post. You can call it the TMZ of the New York Post, maybe. But Page 6 is where we're going to be getting a lot of the information we're going to be using for this timeline. April 7, photos show up. What are these photos showing? Dianna Russini and Vrabel are seen in these photos by a poolside, just both of them by the poolside. Having a laugh here, seems to be having a conversation. And then you see a few of these pictures published on April 7. And these pictures, after it was published on April 7, is said to have been taken on March 28. And March 28 would be when they have something called, it's kind of a meeting in the NFL, and where you have a whole lot of the head coaches and reporters kind of converge in Arizona. This time, this is where they had this meeting for the NFL. So you can see there's a work trip going on somewhere close. But these pictures were taken in Sedona, Arizona, which is 2 hours away from where these meetings were actually going on. And the name of the resort where these pictures were taken is actually very interesting to me. It's Boutique Ambient Resort in Sedona, Arizona. These pictures were taken on March 28th, released on April 7th. And you can see, I think the most viral picture on here would be where they were interlocking hands and also having a hug in those pictures. We'll move on to the timeline and see what else is going on. So on April 9, so this whole, obviously, these pictures come out. There is, you know what it is. It's like 2 hours away. They are on a resort for couples. Now, it's an adult-only resort, and they were found, one of the pictures showed them on the rooftop. It's kind of a couple bungalows. So you're going to be, most often than not, a couple to be in one of those bungalows on the balcony. Okay, so when this story came out on April 7, April 8, it's time for damage control. Dianna Russini of The Athletic sends a statement to Page 6 that the photos, and I'm going to quote the exact statement here, that the photos don't represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day. And it goes ahead to say, like most journalists in the NFL, reporters interact with sources, so she's admitting, or it shouldn't be a big deal, with sources away. So NFL reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and other venues. So the insinuation here is that Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots, is a source for her as a reporter, and they're interacting away from stadiums and other official venues like a resort. Ambient, the name is Boutique Ambient in Sedona, Arizona. $2,000 is what's posted online per night in this for this resort. And then Mike Vrabel sends his own statement, and I'll quote what the statement says. These photos show a completely innocent interaction, and any suggestion otherwise I'm sorry. I'm supposed to just read the statement. These photos show a completely innocent interaction, and any suggestion otherwise is laughable. This doesn't deserve any further response, and that would be the statement for Mike Vrabel a day after these photos come up. You know, fires on the mountain, families, everybody is going to go deny. That's where we are. And then on April 9th, I can also remember around this date as well, the parent company for The Athletic that Dianna Russini works for comes out and backs Dianna Russini, that's the NFL reporter, as being professional, and any other, assertions are probably wrong as well. Then on April 9th, Dianna Russini, after going off social media for a day or two, comes back to social media and tries to work as usual. Shares a link to an article by her colleague Mike Jones about an NFL replacement official. She wrote on social media, but of course that didn't go well. Under her post, people keep asking her and making accusations. And then on April 10, 2026, she gets sidelined. The New York Times, which is her parent employer that supported her 2 days ago, opens an investigation to actually see if she kind of broke any professional standards or any, professional ethical issues about how you actually get sources and how you get information from those sources. And if we just go to the official timelines about what happened on April 14th, we're going to get to the trendy stuff. I just want to get through the timeline here. On April 14, 2026, this would be exactly 1 week from when the initial story came out on April 7th. Dianna Russini resigns her role from The Athletics, and in her resignation letter on April 14, she writes a letter to her boss, and it goes like this. I'm just going to quote a little part of what is here. I stand behind every story I've ever published. When the page 6 item a week ago first appeared, The Athletics supported me, which they did. They probably shouldn't, which they did. The Athletics supported me unequivocally, expressed confidence in my work and in my journalism. For that, I am grateful, she says. In the days that followed, unfortunately, commentators in various social media, I probably should have been one of them, have engaged in self-feeding speculation that is simply removed from the facts. She added that she had no interest in submitting to public inquiry that has already caused more damage than she was willing to accept. So admitting to nothing, but has to leave. Rather than allowing this to continue, I have decided to step aside now before my current contract expires on June 30. I do not do so because I accept the narrative that has been constructed around this episode, but because I refuse to lend it any further oxygen or let it define me or my career. So, April 14, she steps down. April 18th, 2 days later after she steps down, don't forget at this point, the New England Patriots and Mike Vrabel hasn't actually put out much at this point. So, on April 18, the NFL, on this case, addresses the scandal. And don't forget, within this 1 week that this new story has been out, a lot of the mainstream medias, she's their colleague. They are not talking much about this story. But finally, ESPN reports on the story, and it becomes big news on April 18. And then the NFL, the National Football League, spokesperson Brian McCarthy sends a statement and says the NFL is not looking into New England Patriots head coach's behavior as part of his personal conduct policy. Basically saying, we've looked at it, we're not going to look at it any further, it does not actually affect any of our personal conduct policies, and we'll move on from there. 3 days later, now this is actually becoming big news still. Close to 2 weeks now. April 21, nobody has heard from Mike Vrabel yet. Russini has resigned. Now he has to talk because the NFL draft is coming up. I think the NFL draft was on the weekend, ending April 26th, and that's when you had the NFL draft weekend. So the head coach most probably needs to be there to draft players and be part of the process, right? For the NFL draft. So on April 21, 2026, Mike Vrabel has a news conference where he actually speaks. Doesn't really say much in the news conference, but in one of the statements, and I'll quote here, that he actually talks about indirectly, not exactly, but indirectly, we all know what he's talking about. He said he's dealing with a personal and private matter. He said, I understand I could have addressed you sooner, but it was more important to me to have a conversation with the players, which I did yesterday, very candidly, as we began an off-season program, which everyone is excited to be part of. I'm sure there are more meetings going on and less excitement about damage control. He began and added that he's had a difficult but positive and productive talks about the situation with his family. We're going to get back to his initial statement. You remember? It was supposed to be laughable, but I guess we're having positive and productive talks about laughable situations. Let's get back to the rest of the statement and I'll continue with this. We believe in order to be successful on and off the field, you have to make good decisions. That includes me. That starts with me. We never want our actions to negatively affect the team. We never want to be the cause of distraction. You know what's interesting? Instead of we, can you say I never want my actions to negatively affect the team and I never want to be a cause of distraction? But you know, we. Yeah, that's the main part. Blah, blah, blah. Extra stuff, you know, saying a lot without saying anything at that point. So April 22, as this story actually, you know, he did it. I think this is the point where reporters are now like, oh, wow, you're not going to say much about this. You're just going to be vague. April 22 to, would that be the next day? It's like, we're going to drop the next hammer. On April 22, more result photos come out. And the key point in this new photos that come out is they kind of show that there were not many people else, as Dianna Russini had claimed in her earlier statement, that were there with them. And no one has come forward to actually put their hands up and be like, we're hanging out with them all this time. So April 22, new photos come out, kind of indicating that just two of them alone at this adults-only resort. April 23, things change. It's the week of the draft, of the NFL draft, and Mike Vrabel finally comes out and releases a statement. He said, I promised my family, this organization and this team that I was going to give them the best version of me that I can possibly give them. In order to do so, I have committed to seeking counseling starting this weekend. This is something that I've given a lot of thought and it's something I would advise a player to do if I was counseling them. I've also wanted to lead by example and believe this is what I have to do to be the best husband, father, and coach that I possibly can be. This is not an easy thing for me to admit, but it is one that I know I will make me a better person. I appreciate the support that everyone has given me and promise a stronger resolve as a result. And on the same day, while he's giving this statement about going on counseling, I'm going to try to explain this a little later, but he decides to go on counseling on Saturday, which is day 3 of the NFL draft during the weekend. The NFL draft starts on a Thursday and ends on a Saturday, and he decides he's going to go on the Saturday. On the same day, PDA pictures from 2020 are released. Now, many people are not talking too much about the timeline, how long this could have been going on. And then pictures from 2020 comes out, and this is what it looks like. And it's not good. And it suggests that this could have been going on for a really long time. No, internet does their thing. And then this is on the same day. That's when he makes the commitment to go for counseling. And on the same day, TMZ releases photos of Vrabel and Russini in 2024 in Mississippi in a Beau Rivage Casino in Biloxi, Mississippi. Same day, the Patriots release a statement. That's his employers, kind of saying we stand with him. And on the same day, he releases another statement on April 23, 2024. He says that's a private and personal matter. I don't think those comments, I think that was, I'm always going to try to protect my family. And I would never be dismissive, but I think my family and this football team are the most important thing. So he's trying to suggest that his initial statement about the accusations being laughable was an attempt to protect his family. And That will be April 23, 2026. And as according to the timeline, Dianna Russini also deletes her social media accounts and sent them to private. I'm guessing at this point, it is becoming too much. The story is not dying down any bit. And now this is where I give the info on all the other things going on the internet. So at this point, I'm done with the timeline, and we're going to get right into where sports, pop culture, and so many things actually fall into place. First of all, she did resign. It will be very difficult for her to actually keep doing her job under the circumstances with the accusations. This is not a crime, but professionally speaking, for a reporter, this might be more damaging. At the same time, there's a lot of BS. There's a lot of bullshit all over the Mike Vrabel statements and how he handled this whole situation, how he's handling the whole... It's a management thing, trying to manage the public as well in terms of how he's trying to manage the fallout. Just gonna go to a few things that has come up online. Just a lot of it, there has been suggestion online. Those photos from 2020 came up, which leaves a suggestion that this could have been going on for pretty long. And she put out a tweet on 11th of August 2021 that has got the internet on all kinds of memes and insinuations. Keep looking at my almost 4-day-old son, Michael, while trying to figure out who are the best Michaels to ever play and coach in the NFL. Mike Vrabel's name, or the full name, is Michael. And that got the internet all over. But yes, that's probably one of the most viral things the internet had dug up over this whole month for this whole saga as well. So many other things have come up. Pictures now, there's a whole paparazzi and a whole reality show around Mike Vrabel and his family. Unfortunately for the wife, kids, and every other person around him, I am not so much part of the people that think that he shouldn't go through the ringer for this. He would make his own player face the fire under the same situation as the leader of the New England Patriots. So for him, not less so am I super concerned, but for his family, it's a tough situation. There's a scenario where he's buying something at the airport in Utah very recently. Those pictures go out. It's a whole thing. It's trending on TMZ. And then you got even comments about the wife still wearing a wedding ring, as if that matters. It's also out there. For Dianna Russini, there's a whole lot of tweets and memes coming out about how she has, either in fun or in whatever way, disrespected, in some people's opinion, her husband on air, taking little jabs. So that has been a thing. So I'm going to leave the Dianna Russini part. I want to talk about the Mike Vrabel part, which is the sports part. It's a whole lot of BS from Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. This is an organization, I can stand half of this organization anyway. The whole Deflategate thing, the arrogance that they move around while trying to pretend like they hold everybody in the world to the highest degree. Their owner, and a whole scandal and the whole thing in the massage parlor in Florida. Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick, their longtime coach that's now in North Carolina, and his now current girlfriend of running North Carolina. That's a whole thing. That's a whole completely different story as well on its own. But I think this is kind of those situations that you say, would this affect how he does his job? Absolutely, this affects how he does his job. This man ain't gonna come here and keep me straight as my head coach when he can't keep himself straight. And he's not been keeping himself straight for a long time. We can try to say allegedly or non-allegedly, it is what it is. We are being judged on perception a lot. He would judge on perception as a head coach of a team and won against those distractions. So I see no way that he doesn't get to deal with the same fallback. This is not just a one time. This seems to have been going on for a long time. This seems to be a very tough and complicated situation as well. But on the football side of things, come on. I'm really curious, can he actually keep being the football head coach of the New England Patriots? I know a lot of the players are going to come in and do their jobs. It is what it is. But when the time comes to actually hold someone accountable, would he be more hesitant to do it? Because he's looking for some grace. Anyway, this is the big news. I'm sure by the time this comes out, there's going to be more updates. It seems to not be ending at all for the New England Patriots and this whole story. For Dianna Russini, she's handling her resignation. People are not talking about her too much, but this is a really fascinating, and it's kind of just growing tentacles by the day as well. So let me know. Leave in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this story. If you've been following the story, I kind of have been following it through all the mainstream and major media as well. I've had my thoughts. I've kind of waited for more information to come out because things like this are tricky. But at this point on this channel, we're gonna actually put out, if more information come, I would actually want to break this down and talk more about it. My thoughts on this issue are less about sports and more about the whole scenario. There's a whole lot more conversation in pop culture that this could actually pick up from. But the few questions are, in my opinion, her career is probably over at the level that it was right now in terms of being an NFL insider and a reporter. His career as a head coach, in my opinion, is probably over at this level. He's probably going to have to resign at some point. This is not going away. I think there are egos of some people that has been bruised that would not let this go. I would say the fact that he came in and said it was laughable in the first statement was all kinds of management wrong. And there are some people that, I don't blame them actually, are not going to let this go. And it's going to be a distraction for the New England Patriots. Drop your comments. Thank you so much. Don't forget like and comment as well. What do you think about this ongoing saga? Do you think this actually goes into the regular season, in the sports season, or this dies down faster? It's already gone on for 1 month, so I don't think it dies down anytime actually soon at this point. Well, let's know what's going on. This is where sports intersects pop culture. I know there are other items on the sports calendar as well that's also taking over. The Clay Thompson, Megan Thee Stallion. I saw something today. That's not why we're here. Anyway, let's know what you think about this. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here. There's infidelity going on. There's a family aspect. There's a career aspect to it. There are multiple families involved. There's a lot. It's a lot going on. There's a timeline. Who knows what? What did the family know? What did the family did not know? Who's dealing with the backlash? Who has to feel the humiliation, the embarrassment? A little more than they should be actually dealing with. Are those counseling really for real? There are lots of questions here that would never probably be fully answered. Peace.